Hello and welcome back to the Canaries Chat football channel. Today we have our predictions around what will be the finishing table for the Premier League. There's some shocks, some maybe less so shocking predictions, but as always, if you're enjoying the content and you want to support the channel, click the subscribe button down below. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So we'll work from the bottom up. We're filming this on Sunday the 4th, so halfway through a game week. Some results have already happened, but we've still got Wolves sitting 20th. They obviously had a big win yesterday, 3-0 win against West Ham. West Ham are looking bang in trouble as well. I probably before yesterday, I was probably quite confident that they would beat the points record. Could that 3-0 win boost them and start pushing them up the table? Potentially. I think Rob Edwards, for what it's worth, hasn't done a terrible job since going in. I know they maybe haven't picked up points where they'd expect to. However, he is kind of, I think you look at kind of the half-time scores, he's always in the games, and they've had a few tough opponents as well. So there's probably now that small glimmer of hope. I think it's now 12 points in around 19 games to get out of this predicament. But for me, they're still finishing bottom. I don't know if yesterday was just kind of flash in the pan and they'll go back to kind of normal afterwards. In 19th, we have Burnley. I think we all predicted Burnley probably to go down at the start of the season. Parker Ball just doesn't seem to translate with whoever he's with in the Premier League. I think some of their signings like Brozier and players like that, they're nearly signing the name rather than the player, and unfortunately it hasn't gone to plan. So I've got Burnley sitting in 19th. 18th is a team I've already mentioned, is West Ham. I think they're too reliant on Bowen. If Bowen doesn't perform, then they're in trouble. The Wolves result is obviously quite damning as well, losing 3-0 to one of the worst teams to be in the Premier League statistically. I don't think it's looking good for them at all. Obviously, Nuno's come in. Has he hit the ground running? No. Do I think he could get him out of it? Potentially. So showed at Forest that he is capable of performing at quite high levels. However, I just think, it's too much slippery slope. Can I see? It's basically Nuno versus Dyche at this point. And I think Dyche just has a bit more kind of ammunition with the players that he's got to fire him out of this trouble. So for me, West Ham 18th. Going on to that, Forest 17th. So I just think Dyche, again, has got players that can get him out of trouble. Morgan Gibbs-White, unbelievable player. Callum Hudson-Odoi's been like relatively okay. Igor Jesus has done okay. I don't know, maybe it's too laid back on the fact as well that I just think Sean Dyche will get him out of it. However, if I think they're around 17th, do I think Mr. Marinakis will keep him? Probably not. I think if they're any whiff of a relegation battle, I think he could sack him and go for the new manager bounce to get them out of that problem. So that would then be their fourth manager this season. Nuno, Postecoglou, Dyche, and then a new one. Could that be something that helps them? Potentially, but I don't see them going down. I have them in 17th. A team that I would have thought would have gone down, but I don't think now, after recent results, is Leeds. So I think they'll stay up relatively comfortably. As a Norwich City fan, I'm a big fan of Daniel Farke. I think he unfortunately wasn't given the tools and apparatus at Norwich to push on. I think Leeds have kind of, I wouldn't say recruited better than last time they were up, but they've recruited smarter. And I think players like Calvert-Lewin, it was an absolute great bit of business to pick him up. And I think they'll just comfortably survive. And the results they've got recently, the Liverpool game, the Chelsea game, like they're getting results against big teams. And then if they can pick up draws or something along those lines against the teams in and around them, I think they'll be absolutely fine. We then have 15th, gone with Bournemouth, expecting Semenyo to go. Obviously started the league absolutely on fire. I don't think they'll slip any further than that. I don't think there'll be any talks of relegation battle. I do think they'll pick up the odd result. However, I think the loss of Semenyo could affect them. But however, they do have money to spend, but without knowing how they'll spend that money, it's quite difficult to know where they'll finish. So I think going on current form, current trajectory, and knowing that Semenyo definitely will go, I've gone with Bournemouth 15th. 14th, I've gone Fulham, just doing what Fulham do. They didn't spend like any money in the summer. I think Harry Wilson has absolutely been on fire. Jimenez has been one of their best buys in a very long time, with just how good and how consistent he's been for 5 million to replace Mitrovic. It's a superb bit of business. But yeah, haven't bought anything. Will comfortably stay up. Hopefully they can then get Silva to give him money basically and build the squad that he wants, and I think they could actually be a very decent team next season. However, do I think they will spend the money? Different matter. 13th, I've gone Spurs. I think they're stagnant. I think I was a big fan of Frank, and I thought he could potentially adapt the way he plays, but I think unfortunately he is one of those managers that won't make it a bigger club because of his philosophy is kind of hitting teams on the break. He struggles to break teams down, and also Tottenham fans don't want that. My prediction is Spurs don't sack him, so that's why I've gone with them 13th. But yeah, I think it's just too stagnant. They lack creativity in certain places. So then have Brighton 12th, so a very up and down team. You never know which Brighton you're going to get. You could get a Brighton that will give Man City Arsenal a game. You could give a Brighton that struggle against West Ham. It is really, really tricky. I'm personally happy they've obviously brought Pascal Gross back, and I think he could be a differential for him. But I think slap bang kind of mid-table between that 12th and 8th is so congested in the middle that anything really from Fulham up to Everton is really up for grabs, so that can really chop and change in the middle. I've then gone 11th Sunderland, so I'm expecting them to drop off ever so slightly. I thought they were going to go down, no doubt about it. I'm happy to kind of eat my hat on that one. They've done superbly. I do think towards the back end of the season, the intensity of the Premier League may just slowly get to them. But as I said, because it's so congested in the middle, them dropping to 11th isn't really that big a drop off. That could literally happen in one game. So I think, yeah, bang mid-table. Same with Brentford. Keith Andrews, I think, has done a superb job. Again, another person I had doubts over. I think many people had doubts over bringing in a set-piece coach in to replace Frank, who was so successful at Brentford. But he's doing really well. He's keeping results ticking along. I know Thiago maybe has helped them a little bit within that. But yeah, it's not just one player that's doing that. And I think middle of the table for Brentford, which at the start of the season I probably would have put them bottom 5. So fair play there. Palace I've got in 9th, balancing that Premier League and European competitions. They'll pick up results here and there, a little bit like Brighton, which they probably don't like the comparison on, but you never really know which Palace you're going to get. It's normally after a European night they do struggle a bit more. So I think 9th would be a good season. They've had European football. I wouldn't be surprised if they go quite far within the Conference League as well, and if they start prioritising that, which would be completely understandable. So gone 9th for Palace. Gone Newcastle in 8th. I think they'll have a small improvement on their current position. Visser coming back, I think, will really help Voltemada because that pressure's now just not on him. Do I think they'll underperform? Like, I do think they're underperforming at the moment. Do I think they'll continue to underperform? No, but it's only going to get marginally better. I think they're in a similar-ish position last year and did manage to recover, but they did have then Isak going through a purple patch. So yeah, gone Newcastle 8th. I've gone Everton 7th. Maybe a little bit of kind of rose-tinted glasses here, but I love David Moyes. I think he's great. He's doing a brilliant job. I don't think they really have a very good striker, so the fact they are where they are at this moment in time is impressive. If they maybe go and sort that out, they could really kick on. But West Ham fans probably kicking themselves after some West Ham, not all, some West Ham fans weren't happy, got him out of the club, and then they've well, potentially going down, and he's doing a great job at Everton. People like Jack Grealish and players like that absolutely thriving on David Moyes, so that's great to see. And I've got Everton 7th. 6th, I've got Chelsea. I think Saka Maresca seems odd to me. I actually think their squad is good, but not well beat. I don't think it's a top 3 squad anyway. Not better than Arsenal, Man City's or Liverpool's squad. So the fact they're in and around 5th is probably where they should be. I just think there's too much politics behind that dictated that Saka and Maresca. I think they'll just drop off ever so slightly. Leroy Insigne is a favourite at the moment. Hasn't managed a club with so many egos. That could be interesting. But yeah, I think 6th there. I've then got Man U, so obviously Amorim started to change the formation. That's been highlighted quite a lot. Cunha's coming in a little bit now, and Buemo has been solid, and he'll be then coming back from the AFCON. I don't think they'll have enough to grab 4th or anything, but I do see them constantly improving. My one worry is that if Bruno Fernandes gets injured, Man U, I think, will then really start to struggle, and I think they need to start trying to find that Bruno replacement as soon as possible to kind of mitigate those risks. But for me, Man U 5th, got Liverpool 4th, so Vert's obviously coming in. He's now getting up to the standard that we all thought he was. Obviously, Isak's out, unfortunately, for a long time. They have been up and down. They have struggled with certain results, obviously the draw to Leeds. And I think just that gap between Villa and Liverpool is now just a bit too big to make up. I know Villa had that kind of thumping from Arsenal, but they've now won against Forest. They're back onto that winning route again. So for me, Liverpool 4th. Unsurprisingly, then Villa 3rd. The gap, as I said, is just too big. I think there was the potential that Arsenal kind of thumping could have derailed their season. It didn't. As I said, they've got back to winning ways. Hopefully, Emery is then able to still get a few more players in. I know FFP has kind of hindered them a little bit. But yeah, Villa 3rd, which I think would be an amazing season. I don't think anyone would have had them 3rd at the start of the year. 2nd, I've gone with Man City. So I think they'll chase. I think it will be close, but I just don't think it'll be quite enough. They're obviously signing a lot of or have signed a lot of players like Cherky, creative kind of thinking players. Semenyo supposedly coming in now as well. However, I just think defensively they've looked a little bit shaky in places. And yeah, I think I know Arsenal also drew at Sunderland away, and they've done the same. So maybe obviously that is just a very tough place to go. I just think that's another bit of ground that Arsenal then have to keep trying to stretch out. And yeah, I think this year could be the year that Arsenal do it. So unsurprisingly, number 1, I've got Arsenal, 2 losses this season. Just again looking steady, had that lovely run at the start of the year around clean sheets, which really helped him. We've got big names coming back from injury. Gabriel, obviously, I know just made a mistake for the Bournemouth goal, but he also then scored. You've got Declan Rice has come back from his short-term injury. Odegaard's back. Like their bench, I think they brought Trossard, Saka, and Jesus on. Unbelievably stacked bench now. So I think that's really exciting. If I'm an Arsenal fan, if it doesn't happen this year, I don't think it's going to happen at all. So that is my predicted table. Comment down below whether you agree or not. As always, if you've enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and we'll see you very soon for another video.